Hey everyone, Marissa McNamara here with BT BOCES, and in this video we are going to cover all the awesome accessibility tools and features that are built right into your Chromebooks. So let's get started. So I am on my Chromebook, and we are first going to just learn and cover how we're going to access those settings, those accessibility settings. And so on your Chromebook, you're going to go over where the time is in the bottom right. And I'm going to go to my settings gear. And once we open up our settings, we're going to actually go over to the left where it says advanced and scroll all the way down to accessibility. And now when I click on that, I have two main options on this screen right now. The first thing that I want to do is I want to make it a little bit easier to manage those accessibility options. So I'm going to actually toggle this on, but I'm going to show you first what it looks like without it toggled on. So right now you can see in my quick start over here, there's this little empty gap, right? So when I toggle this on, now when I go over there, here is accessibility. So that is how I can quickly access those accessibility features at a later time. If you don't want that there, you can turn it off, but it is nice to have that on for yourselves or with the students that you might be working with. So from this menu, I am now going to manage our accessibility features. Going into this screen, you're going to have access to all of the different accessibility features that your Chromebook offers. So they are, just as a quick glance, they are separated into sections. So we have text-to-speech, display, keyboard and text input, mouse and touchpad, audio, and captions. So we're going to kind of chunk it by each of those categories, and I'll give you some tips and highlights for each one. So we're first going to look at text-to-speech. And so we can toggle on and off these two main options. So Google has what is known as Chromebooks, or their spoken feedback. This is a built-in screen reader. So it enables those with visual impairments in order to use the Chrome operating system. So this is really going, once it's toggled on, this is going to dictate everything that you or students are doing on the computer, whether it be hovering over something to click on. It's going to audibly say every move that the mouse is making. By toggling it on,
Chromebox spoken feedback is ready.
You can
Enable
see
Chromebox spoken feedback. Toggle button.
You can see that it is on.
Press search plus space to toggle.
We're going to toggle that off because it is very distracting. Once that is toggled on, it is best if students that are using this in your classroom, perhaps put in some headphones, because it is quite distracting to those that don't actually need it for that true spoken feedback. But it is a great tool to have there. There is also the Enable Select to Speech. So this is a selected portion of your computer screen that you would want read aloud to you, where the Chromebox is for everything. The select to speech is just what you as the user of the Chromebook selects in order for it to work, in order for it to read to you. So by selecting that on, you can see that down here, this little icon has popped up. That is how I can quickly kind of turn things on and off. But to highlight what it does, to select what I would like the select to speech to read, I'm going to actually hold down the magnifying key on my Chromebook. And as I am holding that key down, I am going to click and drag a portion of the screen. And so now you can see that it has made this little highlighting box. And when I let go, it is going to read.
Text to speech. Enable Chromebox spoken feedback. Enable select to speak. Open select to speak settings. Text-to-speech voice settings. Select and customize text-to-speech voices.
I can pause, I can play it, I can speed it up, or move ahead to the next sentence. So using this navigation toolbar will also further enhance the usability of it. And then I can simply close it, or I can use this down here to close. And then lastly, for this text-to-speech section, you do have a whole bunch of voice settings. So by opening this up, you can really customize it for your own preference, or if you are using this with any student, you can also customize it based off of their own individual needs. You can change the rate, pitch, and volume. And something that I do want to really highlight is the ability to change that voice. So, I mean, really with any computer voice reader, it is being read by a computer. So it is going to sound a little robotic, but you can customize the voice and even change the language. So this first section is just the preview of it. So I can go through, I can see all the languages that are here, but I can scroll down to the English and I can select one of them, and then I can click play to listen to it.
Hi there, I'm your text-to-speech voice.
Now, if I like that voice, I can go down here to preferred voices, and that is where I'm going to change it. So if you actually select one here, see how I have selected 8, but down here it's English 4. It's not going to save it until you actually go down to the preferred voices and then you select the number that you like. But I prefer 4. And you can go ahead and even customize further the languages that are available. All right, next up, we are going to take a look at all of the settings in the display. So there's some quick ones that you can just simply toggle on and off. Our high contrast mode. That's great for reducing that blue light that our computers give off all the time. Enable full screen magnifier and a docked magnifier. So the difference between the two, the full screen is going to zoom in to your entire screen and take up the whole display of your Chromebook. The docked magnifier has a little docking station up at the top that you can see, and wherever my mouse goes, if you're looking at the lower half, that is what is zoomed in. And then by opening our display device settings, this is where across your entire Chromebook, we can change the display size. So if you've never kind of dug around in these settings before, it will be defaulted to this 100%, which is on their smaller side. By just simply clicking and dragging things over, it does zoom in, and that is going to take place across your entire Chromebook. So you notice that my icons on the bottom also got slightly larger, and that's going to be the case across everything that you're doing. Just keep in mind that this is a great tool. It goes across all of your experience on your Chromebook, but because it is making things larger for you to read, there will be times across the different platforms that you go on, especially on the internet, that you might need to scroll a little bit more than you typically would because you are zoomed in. And then we have Nightlight here. Now my phone does this automatically at a certain time. And so if you are doing work at home in the evening, hopefully you're not doing it while you're laying in bed at night. If you are doing stuff in dim lighting, this does make it easier for you and your eyes to read in that dim lighting. And you can adjust the temperature of the color, and you can do a schedule. So if you want this to just automatically default, if you know that after a certain time, if you're on your computer, it's darker in the evening, like the settings on my phone, mine go off around 9:30 at night, just to make it easier on my eyes, and again, to reduce that blue light. Now, next up, I'm going to switch around a little bit before we delve into the last section. We have our keyboard and text input. So if you are interested in different settings for yourself and for your students on the keyboard itself on the Chromebook, you can take a look at these settings that you all can adjust. And then I'm going to just jump down and make note of the audio and captions. There are lots of settings in here that you can adjust to make captions available across the experience on the Chromebook. These are being frequently updated, delving in deeper to get some additional captions, live captioning, and the preferences and the fonts and all that. That is all in there. The last section that I really want to spend some time going through the settings is the mouse and touchpad. So the first part is allowing your cursor to automatically click when you stop moving it. So by toggling this on, you get a control panel and some additional settings that were not there before. So you can customize the time, the stabilizing click location, and so you can kind of really adjust that to your own personal preferences, or when using it with students, your students' preferences. Now, the next two settings are two of my favorites that really just transcend all users of a Chromebook. So this first one is showing a larger mouse cursor. By toggling this setting on, I now have increased the size of my cursor. Once you toggle it on, it will go all the way to large. By clicking and dragging, like we've done for many of the other settings, you can really customize what is best for you with your cursor. The next setting is by far my favorite. I have this across all of my different devices that I use by changing that cursor color. Now, I find it very easy to lose the black and then when you hover over things, white cursor across my experience. Just on my Chromebook, on a Windows device, I just typically end up losing it across the things that I'm doing. So I have found this is a huge life changer for me by changing it to a color that is easier, that provides that contrast against the screen that I'm typically using my cursor on. So there's a whole bunch of specific colors. You can pick whichever one really it speaks to you in that moment. I typically like the magenta, or the blue cyan is easy for my eyes to see. So really this is where you can customize it to best meet your own individual needs. We have a few final settings. The highlighting your mouse cursor when it's moving. This is really great when you toggle this on if you are doing some tutorial videos, because it's bringing extra focus onto your cursor. By opening the mouse and touchpad device settings, this is where, for any of my lefties in the world, you can swap your mouse buttons, your speed, if you want reverse scrolling, and then some specific settings with that touchpad, or the trackpad as it is often also referred to as. So you can control various settings within there as well. Thanks for joining me. Those are all the accessibility features that are available on your Chromebook. Please know that Google is constantly making updates across all of their platforms, but they have really made it a point to be focused on making things more accessible. So I foresee many updates to all of those settings in the future. As always, if you need anything, please reach out.